Did you know that Total Retail's sister brand, Women in Retail Leadership Circle, hosts regional one-day events? These events offer an opportunity for women executives to network, learn from each other, and improve business processes. If you want to find inspiration on how to conquer challenges in both your personal and professional lives, consider attending Women in Retail Leadership Circle's On the Road San Francisco event, taking place on Thursday, November 7th. For more information, visit ontheroad.wirlc.com.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi, and welcome to episode 220 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Executive Editor of Total Retail. Joining me today is Louis Amoroso, President, Direct-to-Consumer at Drinks, which operates Wine Insiders, a leading consumer marketplace for high-quality and affordable premium wine available for delivery across the United States. We're going to be discussing the growth of Wine Insiders' digital business. Thanks for joining me, Louis.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So let's start by having you briefly tell our audience a little bit about Wine Insiders.
So Wine Insiders, as you sort of iterated, is the leading retail platform for premium wines that we deliver direct to the consumer via FedEx. So in essence, right from the winery, right to their door.
And you guys are located in Napa Valley, is that correct?
Actually, our headquarters is based out of Los Angeles.
Okay. And then, so you mentioned that you're selling direct to consumer. The company, correct me if I'm wrong here, evolved from sort of being a legacy mail order business into kind of more of this direct to consumer, digital centric brand. Can you talk a little bit about that transition?
Yes. So Wine Insiders has been around for quite some time, pre the era of the internet, and historically was a sort of old world direct marketing company that relied upon direct mail, catalog, package insert for marketing. So we still continue to utilize those sort of old world direct to consumer vehicles, but then have supplemented it with all the new digital acquisition vehicles, ranging from digital advertising with the likes of Facebook to all the different social mediums and advertising vehicles there, to influencer, so just really cover the whole gamut of direct marketing.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about the challenges that are presented themselves in shipping your product across the country. I know that's been a challenge for brands like Wine Insiders. And then kind of after you address the challenges, okay, what are some of the solutions or kind of how are you overcoming those challenges?
So dating back to the repeal of Prohibition, what happened was a distribution process was put in place, structure was put in place, where product had to flow from a manufacturer, whether it's a brewery, a distillery, a winery, that sat on a national level, to a wholesaler on a state level, then to a retailer, and then finally to the consumer. So if you're a consumer in, let's say, Illinois, and you're buying a bottle of wine, that wine came from the winery that sits on the national level. It was sold to a wholesaler in Illinois. It was then sold to a retailer in Illinois, and then finally it's sold to you. And in some cases, there's also the additional layer where you would have a national wholesaler or an importer. So if you're a small winery in California and you don't want to deal with 52 wholesalers across the country, then you would just appoint a national wholesaler, and they would then deal with the individual wholesalers in these different states across the country. So the bottom line there is the product is getting marked up at every level, and the consumer is paying a significantly higher price to get the product.
And then that direct-to-consumer model obviously is eliminating those middlemen, I would imagine. So you're able to decrease the price, and that's kind of one of the major, benefits that you're going to market. That's kind of the value proposition you're able to provide.
Correct. So we're dealing direct with the winery, and we are bringing the product direct from the winery right to your doorstep. And we do that through a variety of different vehicles that allow us to get the product legally through the system. So there's sort of a myriad of state laws and federal laws that cover the distribution of alcohol that are all centered around that 3-tier system. But the confusing part is every state does it a little bit different. And so one of our big barriers to entry is that we have navigated those federal and state laws across the country and created a distribution system that allows us to get that product cheaply, effectively, quickly to the consumer.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, I'm sitting here as I'm doing this this podcast. I'm in Pennsylvania, but we're in Philadelphia. Right across the bridge is New Jersey. I'm imagining there's different. I know there are different state laws in terms of alcohol distribution in between those two states. So, are you marketing to the customer that's in, New Jersey differently than the customer that you're marketing to that's in Pennsylvania, or any other state? Example bordering states like that. Examples. How are you handling that in terms of communicating to those customers and messaging them?
So really, for the most part, the frontline messaging that the consumers across the country receive is the same. In the terms and conditions, and sometimes the offers will vary, but for the most part, it's really just the legalese and the terms and conditions that lay out some of the different laws and how it's affecting them. But the overall marketing message is pretty much the same across the country.
Okay. And then let's talk a little bit about what you're doing. You mentioned kind of the shift to some of the digital marketing channels, social and influencers, and some of the other things you're doing online. Can you talk about your approach at Wine Insiders to customer acquisition, and talk maybe a little bit about your customer? Is it strictly is your direct-to-consumer customer skew a little heavier on the younger side? Is it kind of not just millennials? Talk a little bit about customer acquisition and then your customer base as a whole.
Yeah, so we have a really sort of diverse customer base, ranging from 21 up to our oldest customer, who is that we're aware of, is 90 years old and has been buying from Wine Insiders for over 30 years. So there's a lot of focus on millennials right now, and everybody likes to talk about millennials, but in all reality, it's not a significant portion of the wine buying community. And so, we focus on millennials just as much as we focus on Gen Z and all the other different acronyms for the different age groups, that we're marketing to. So we really, we have a pretty even split between men and women, and then across those age groups, we also have a relatively even split because wine is so appealing to all the different age groups. And really it's the products that we market. So we're marketing products that appeal to those different age groups as well, whether the rosé and is appealing to a little bit of a younger demographic, and the old world Bordeaux's are appealing to a little bit older generation.
Have you found in your work that certain channels are performing better with certain demographics in terms of whether it be maybe social influencers are better, you're getting better response from a younger or millennial generation with that versus your traditional direct mail catalog, which you still are doing that seems to resonate better with an older demographic. Are you finding that's the case, or maybe it's not the case?
Yeah, actually what you said is definitely the case. So what we're finding is the digital space is appealing to a much younger audience. Most of the direct mail, the snail mail, the Sunday circular type stuff that we do is bringing in a sort of a 45 plus demographic, and everything else, all the digital stuff is really focused on that 21 to 40. And both of them work very well. They're just, as you said, bringing in different audiences.
So what are some of the tools that you're using as you try to segment and target the audience with the right message for the right channel? that's an ongoing challenge for a lot of retailers and brands. Can you talk a little bit about some of the technology solutions that you're working with in terms of to help you kind of maintain that relevant conversation with your customers?
So we do a lot of surveying of the customers using NPS surveys, and we follow the customer's journey on the website through full story, sort of really analyze what they're doing. In terms of, I think more to your question, especially in the digital space, so we do a lot of advertising on Facebook, and we're mining that data, looking at our current customer demographic, and then when we're going after the Facebook customer, we're able to really target in and market the same type of people that are buying from us, so it allows the advertising to be much more cost effective. So unlike some of the sort of the old world mass mediums like package insert, the Sunday circular type advertising, you're really going out to a very broad audience at an inexpensive cost, and trying to get that to convert into a good cost per order. Whereas on the digital side, we can really zero in and try and find the exact customer that we're looking for.
How does email fit into that kind of equation? I would imagine that's sort of, once you've acquired a customer or in the process of acquiring a customer, you can, if you can, get their email address, that's a good way for Wine Insiders to keep the conversation going and to promote products and so forth.
Correct. So through email, we use a pretty sophisticated email platform that is by Oracle called Responsus, that allows us to really segment our customers, send out very targeted emails to them. We're monitoring not only what they purchase, but when they purchase it. So is it better to reach Louis at nighttime, and better to reach Joe in the morning, versus just sending out mass emails once a day? We're looking at how often we should be reaching out to them. So Louis may want to get an email every day from Wine Insiders and interact and open it and click through to the site, but Joe is only clicking one email a week, so we reduce the cadence. All of that in an effort to reduce unsubscribes, because obviously every time you interact with that customer, obviously you're giving them the ability to buy and to interact with you, but you're also giving them the opportunity to unsubscribe. And we want to keep that unsubscribe rate as low as possible.
Yep. And then my final question, Louis, is as you look to continue to grow Wine Insider's business, and specifically with your team in terms of growing kind of direct to consumer, where is your attention focused as you kind of look forward? And is it hiring more talent? Is it technology investments? Maybe product focused? Talk a little bit about where you're looking as you look to grow the direct to consumer business for Wine Insiders.
It's interesting you asked that. I just read an article the other day that one of the best jobs in the country right now is to be a data scientist, and that's what we're really focused on. Is we have a whole data science and business intelligence team that is reviewing the data every day, working with the marketing team to really hone in on these customers, figure out when they want to be contacted, what they want to be contacted with, what is the best way to get them to purchase product from us without getting that unsubscribe. So we want to be relevant to them. We want to make sure we're contacting them when they want to be contacted, why they want to be contacted, etc.
So that's, I would imagine, one of the benefits of being a legacy mail order business is that you have this wealth of customer data. Has that been the case, and you kind of leveraging that and trying to build upon that and build out customers' profiles with also what they're doing digitally as well?
Exactly.
Great. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank Louis Amoroso of Drinks for joining me today. Please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcast, for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. But make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Also, please take the time to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.
To hear from inspiring women in retail, register for Women in Retail Leadership Circle's On the Road event taking place in San Francisco on Thursday, November 7th. Visit ontheroad.wirlc.com for more information. We hope to see you there.